9th century Wales was a fractured grid of competing territories. The region was heavily decentralized, defined by local lords who arbitrarily abused their power. Warlords needed wealth to fund their constant turf wars, and they frequently found it by raiding the most vulnerable targets available, local churches. In the middle of this chaos sits King Meurig ab Arthfael. He came to power around 848 and immediately began laying down a structured legal code to protect institutions and bring his lords to heel. But there is a major problem with studying his reign. The surviving evidence is incredibly suspect. The main source for his life is the Book of Llandaff, a 12th century manuscript detailing land grants. For decades, historians dismissed it entirely as a massive piece of medieval fiction because large sections of the text are complete forgeries. To understand the actual legacy of this 9th century king, we have to look at how modern scholars managed to pull genuine history out of a fake medieval document. In the 1970s, the historian Wendy Davies reappraised the Book of Llandaff. She identified that buried underneath all the obvious fakes, there were fragments of genuine historical land charters. Extracting them was a massive headache. These genuine charters have no dates attached to them, and they mention several different men, all named Meurig. Confirming which Meurig was our king requires looking outside the Book of Llandaff entirely, specifically to the 893 biography of Alfred the Great, written by the scholar Asser. In that text, Asser explicitly names two men, Arthfael and Arthfael, and labels them as the kings of Gwent. In one of those genuine, undated charters from the Book of Llandaff, we find those exact same names listed as witnesses to a grant, placing our King Meurig precisely where Asser's account said he should be. Cross-referencing these sources proved our King Meurig actually existed. However, as soon as that was settled, it triggered a bitter scholarly fight over the actual size of his kingdom. Take a look at this map of early medieval Wales. Back in the 7th century, the southeast was a single territory. By the time Meurig came to power, it had fractured down the middle, Glewysing to the west and a smaller Gwent to the east. The records are so messy that historians look at this map and come away with completely different interpretations. Scholar Thomas Charles Edwards argues Meurig was a powerful regional overking, holding authority across both territories. Wendy Davies reads the exact same charters and suggests the opposite. She argues Meurig was a junior king, confined strictly to the smaller eastern borders of Gwent. Then Patrick Sims Williams argues that Meurig had zero power outside Gwent, and that later scribes deliberately altered the historical records to fake his presence in Glewysing. We may never agree on where his borders started and stopped, yet the surviving evidence agrees on one defining legal action he took around the year 850. According to two distinct charters, Meurig stepped in to grant ecclesiastical immunity, ordering all churches to be entirely released from obligations to laymen. This was a pragmatic move of statecraft. By legally guaranteeing ecclesiastical immunity, Meurig shielded regional wealth from the grabby hands of local lords, using the church as a stable foundation for his own authority. Even the end of his life is shrouded in messy documentation. Historical annals record the deaths of kings named Meurig in both 849 and 874, leaving scholars to debate when his reign actually finished. Whenever he died, the immediate aftermath for his family was grim. His sons suffered a severe downgrade in status, forced to rule only as minor kings of Gwent. They were quickly subjugated by their cousin, who took control as the superior king of Glewysing. By the early 10th century, Meurig's direct royal line fizzled out entirely. His legal protections collapsed right alongside his dynasty. Subsequent rulers immediately reverted to the old habit of arbitrarily seizing and transferring church property. Meurig ab Arthfael represents a fleeting attempt to impose structural law on a highly volatile era. His story proves that history is rarely a clean, static list of facts. It is a living debate, where the true story of the past is found only by struggling to separate forged myths from pragmatic realities.